It's been a wild ride for Bitcoin recently, with the largest cryptocurrency by market cap down roughly 50% this year. And as the White House releases its plans on what crypto regulation in the United States should look like, some lawsuits could ultimately help shape the direction of the industry. Joining us now to discuss is Morrison Cohen LLP partner Jason Gottlieb. Welcome, Jason. So your practice focuses on regulatory enforcement related to securities and cryptocurrency. There has been a jump in litigation recently, with lawyers filing 58 securities class actions against crypto companies since 2016, according to a report from Cornerstone Research and Stanford Law School. Does that sound to you surprising at all?
Not at all. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen the crypto industry rise up in terms of the amount of dollars that are involved, the size of the companies, and the talent that's coming into the space. So really, it's sort of a more money, more problems, more money, more problems type of issue, where there's just a more mature industry for plaintiffs' lawyers to try to attack. At the same time, it's a very complicated space on the regulatory front. So in addition to those class actions that you mentioned, we also have a slew of regulatory enforcement litigation that's a constant drumbeat from the SEC, the CFTC, the Department of Justice, the states, and others.
All right, so you maintain a crypto litigation tracker as well, and your firm is representing defendants in 2 class actions. I guess first off, what inspired you to create that tracker in the first place? And the follow-up would be, what lawsuits do you think have the sharpest teeth?
Well, we started working on this tracker back in 2016 when the space was still growing. At the time, there wasn't a lot of activity in the space, but I wanted to make sure I was keeping track of it all. So I started writing it down on a notepad, thinking there would be 5 or 6 things. By the time I got to the 3rd page of the notepad, I said, there's actually a lot going on in this space. And this was still early in 2016. We systematized that, and it's grown to a 150-page document, which we make available on our website and update regularly, so that everyone in this space can track what's going on from all of these regulatory litigations, the private litigations, and regulatory pronouncements. So it serves as a helpful guide to what's going on in this space. In terms of what has the most teeth, there are obviously a number of litigations that we're looking at, both on the regulatory side and the private side. And I think one of the important things to remember about the litigations is that litigation is the American national pastime, with apologies to baseball. In America, anyone can sue anyone for anything, and they do, and they will. So when we see these complaints come out, it's important to recognize that the complaints are just allegations. It's just what someone is claiming. It's very difficult from the outside to know which of those litigations will have any real teeth, and which of them are just plaintiffs' attorneys who are moving into the space because they see an opportunity to make some money from the large quantities of money that are now changing hands. We've actually seen some comments in the press from plaintiffs' lawyers saying exactly that.
What crypto entities are mainly the target of lawsuits, are you finding?
Well, there are a few different entities that are being targeted. First, you have issuers of cryptocurrency. The SEC has said very consistently since 2016 and 2017 that it views the issuance of cryptocurrency as something that might be the issuance of a security, an investment contract. And if you don't do that in accordance with the SEC rules for issuing securities, they can come in and try to shut you down. So there's been a steady drumbeat of SEC actions against token issuers claiming that those tokens are securities. Some of those, but not all of those cases, also involve allegations of fraud. Obviously, there are frauds in any industry. Cryptocurrency is no exception. And all of us in the cryptocurrency industry are happy to see fraudsters get shut down. But then we have other kinds of entities that are also getting put out there for litigation. So it's not just token issuers, but we see litigation for, we've seen litigation against people for running an unlicensed exchange. This was the Ether Delta case that settled a few years ago against people acting as unlicensed broker dealers. That was the ICO box case that the SEC brought a few years ago. There are a number of cases against celebrities for promoting a cryptocurrency that the SEC claims were securities without disclosing that they were doing so, which is in violation of SEC rules. So Floyd Mayweather, DJ Khaled, Steven Seagal, and others have been tagged for doing that.
All right, I understand that the U.S. is a very litigious society, but nevertheless, is part of the reason why there are so many mounting lawsuits is because there is a lack of clarity in the law as it pertains to cryptocurrencies and what you can and cannot do. And to that end, I wonder, what are your thoughts on regulation by enforcement? So we had Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong lament at the lack of clarity in the space and the need to actually sue regulators to figure out just where on the spectrum cryptocurrencies land when it comes to securities.
I think that Brian is right, and others in the space who have said that there is too much regulation by enforcement are also right. We have had some rulemaking or guidance from the SEC. In 2017, they issued a report called the Dow Report that first indicated to the space that tokens could be securities. In April 2019, the SEC released guidance on what factors would make tokens securities versus not securities. Unfortunately, that list was 40 or so factors with no particular weighting as to what was determinative. So it left a lot of people in the space, frankly, guessing as to some of the problems. The SEC top leadership, including Chair Gary Gensler, have repeatedly said that we don't need new rules. The existing rules have served our markets for 90 years and continue to be good rules. They are good rules. Nobody's got any objection with the rules, except to the extent that they don't fit crypto. We have a number of what I call square peg round hole problems where the SEC is saying, just follow all of our rules. And the industry is saying, well, wait a minute, we can't actually. There are a number of places where the old world's rules don't fit the new technology, and we frankly just don't know what to do about it. It's in those spaces where industry participants are essentially forced to guess. We have to pick what the most likely way forward is, and sometimes we get it wrong, and then there's regulation by enforcement.